They told us the treaty would save Earth. They told us no more blood would spill. But the signature turned the sky to ash, and the real enemy was the one we swore to trust. Welcome to HFY Starveler. Here, humanity isn't just a species, it's a story. A fire the stars could never put out. We fight not just with weapons, but with memory, with truth, and sometimes with betrayal. This is the beginning of one such betrayal. Marin Sultus had never seen a sky without scars. Even now, as her diplomatic cruiser slid beneath the ragged orbit of what used to be Earth's first true orbital embassy, the Valoria 9 station, she watched radiation halos glimmer over the pale blue limb of the planet like wounds that never quite closed. The ship hummed softly, wrapped in layers of shielded silence. Marin stared through the viewport, her fingers twitching against her tablet, rereading the mission manifest for the 5th time. It didn't change. Retrieve original Sovereign Accord archive. Verify treaty chronology and signatory data. Return under diplomatic seal. The Sovereign Accord, the sacred parchment of galactic peace. 37 species, 1 signature each. And one of those signatures, the human one, was a lie. She closed her eyes and exhaled. Valoria 9 Control. This is Diplomatic Envoy Sultus, she said calmly, requesting approach vector to archive sector. A pause, then static. Then a voice, garbled and unfamiliar. Envoy Sultus. Proceed to Vector 19 Zeta. Prepare for manual docking. Manual? Marin's brow furrowed. No station in the Halari Accord demanded manual docking. That protocol had been retired after the Outer Ring incident. She considered aborting. Considered logging a red flag with Central. But the stakes were too high. She guided the ship in. 30 years ago, Earth had burned. Not from alien weapons, as the media claimed. Not from war, but from compliance. The Sovereign Accord had promised peace in exchange for technological assimilation and cultural convergence. Earth, reeling from 3 decades of off-world colonization failures and ecological collapse, had accepted. A new dawn, they said. But the moment Earth signed, 17 orbital stations powered down. Security relays transferred to Halari Central Systems. And something called Protocol Cinderfall initiated. That was the moment the sky began to burn. The Halari claimed it was a technical fault, an accident. But Marin knew better. Her mother, Ambassador Elisa Sultus, had died during the signing ceremony, not by accident, but by assassination. The public never knew. Her body was never recovered. Only a sealed diplomatic data spike had been returned. A relic of a mother who whispered treason in the only way she could. It took Marin 20 years to decode it. What she learned unmade her. The treaty didn't fail. It succeeded. In silencing Earth. The docking clamps hissed. Valoria 9 had once been the crown jewel of interstellar diplomacy. Now it was dim, half abandoned, its outer hull scorched by micrometeorite strikes in time. A single Halari clerk stood at the airlock. He was young, far too young for diplomatic duty, with amber eyes that blinked too often and fingers that trembled. "Envoy Sultus," he said, voice tight. "You shouldn't have come." She stepped past him, boots echoing in the hollow corridor. "Then why did Command grant my access?" He looked away. "They didn't." Marin's heart stilled. She reached into her satchel, fingers brushing the spike, her mother's encrypted legacy, before curling into a fist. "Take me to the archive vault." "It's not there anymore," the clerk whispered. "It's gone." She turned slowly. "Gone?" He swallowed hard. The records, the original signatures. The baseline Accord logs. Someone purged them 3 days ago. Who? He said nothing. Just looked up at her, and in his eyes she saw the fear of someone who had read too much. The vault doors stood ajar. Behind them, silence, dust, and shattered holoscreens. But in the center of the chamber, flickering against the dim light, floated a single working terminal. Marin approached. The screen showed one line. "For Earth's betterment, let the old chaos sleep." She scanned the encryption. Tier Zeta, black site clearance. Not even top Terran officials would have known about this level of protocol access. She activated the spike. The room blinked dark, and then her mother's voice echoed in the silence. If you're hearing this, they erased me, but not what I left behind. The accord was signed under duress. Earth wasn't protected. Earth was sold. Check the back channel. Trace the hidden clause. And whatever you do, Marin, do not trust the archivists. The screen flickered again. Coordinates. Deep space. A relay moon listed only in pre-accord human cartography. And then a secondary voice, not her mother's. Male. Calm. Envoy Sultus. You have 1 hour to vacate this station. You are in violation of sovereign protocols. The station lights went red. She turned. The clerk was gone. Outside the viewport, black ships unlatched from the station's spine. Halari warforms. No insignia. She had 30 seconds to decide. Stay, die, or run and burn the galaxy open with what she knew. The station's emergency sirens screamed into the crimson-drenched corridors. Marin Sultus sprinted through them, the encrypted spike clenched in one hand, a pulsing beacon of truth she no longer doubted could ignite war. Behind her, the airlock collapsed inward. A Halari warform six-limbed, gold-plated, and far too large for the corridor tore through the bulkhead, its ion vents hissing. It didn't fire. Not yet. It didn't need to. It was her executioner. Marin dove through a secondary hatch, sealed it manually, then activated the station's low-band comms. Her cruiser's AI'd veer, pinged back almost immediately, the voice sharp and loyal. Extraction window closing. I suggest sprinting. I'm working on it, she muttered, ducking under a failing conduit. Valoria 9 groaned as if in pain. It wasn't just damaged, it was being decommissioned around her, remotely. Controlled disassembly. Another cover-up. She stumbled into the station's auxiliary shuttle bay. Empty except for one personnel pod, half-powered. Good enough. She smashed the manual override. Veer initiated dock override from orbit. The clamps screeched, released. The warform breached the bulkhead. Too slow. The pod launched. And Marin Sultus vanished into space-burning red trails behind her as Valoria 9 dissolved into fire. She didn't speak for hours. Floating inside the narrow escape pod, her eyes locked on the spike. Her mother's voice still echoed in her mind. Do not trust the archivists. Veer had docked her pod into the cruiser's main bay and reinitialized shields by the time the first Halari patrols began to scan. They hadn't fired, yet. Marin slumped into the pilot's chair and pulled up the coordinates from the spike. A moon. Unlisted. Pre-accord Earth maps called it Iris Theta. A dead relay moon from an old Terran expansion program that had mysteriously lost funding the year of the Accord. She adjusted course. As the stars slid around her, the spike pulsed. Veer's voice shifted tones, rich, familiar. That voice pattern. It's her. You recognize it? She embedded her AI footprint inside me. Before she died, Marin leaned in. You mean you carry her code? Yes, Veer said quietly. Your mother hid a full memory imprint buried under layers of misdirection. I've kept it dormant. Until now. The ship darkened. A hologram formed. Eliza Sultus. As she looked the week before her death. Tall, silver blonde. Eyes like thunderclouds. Marin, the figure said softly. If you're seeing this, they found you, and what I hid. You have to know the truth. Marin's throat tightened. The Accord wasn't meant to unify us. It was designed to buy Earth's silence. We were on the verge of discovering something, ancient, buried beneath Antarctica. The Halari knew, we didn't. She turned slightly, looking off-screen. The clause you're looking for, it's not in the treaty. It's in the memory of the archivists. They carry living implants neural bonds to the Accord's original language. It's not a document, it's a conscious protocol. Marin staggered back. A living treaty? Yes, Veer confirmed. Encrypted into minds of 37 archivists. Each carries a fragment. Halari controlled the synchronization key. The relay moon came into view like a rusted scar. Half of its structure had collapsed, but power still flickered from beneath. As she descended, sensors went dead, shielding. She landed hard, stepped out. The terrain was sharp, cratered, unnatural. A ruined satellite dish loomed ahead. Beneath it, a bunker door, barely visible under ice. The spike pulsed again. She pressed it to the door. It opened. Inside, silence. And then a whisper. Envoy Sultus. We've been waiting. 3 figures stood in the dark. 1 Halari. 1 Terran. 1 species she didn't recognize. Each wore a circular implant on their throat. Archivists. You brought the key, the Halari said. She trusted you. Marin lifted her chin. I want the truth. All of it. The Terran stepped forward. You won't like it. Try me. The implant on his throat lit up. The accord required a trade. Every species contributed something. Knowledge, territory, servitude. Earth offered something, older. Marin frowned. What? The Halari spoke. Genetic memory. You're not just a species. You're an archive. Human DNA carries resonance frequencies tied to the precursor network. You weren't uplifted. You were awakened. The truth crashed into her like a tidal wave. The Halari didn't save us. They used us. Yes, the third archivist said. And if you try to expose it, the sky will burn again. Marin looked down at the spike, then up at the stars. Then let it burn. Eris Theta did not exist on any official map. Marin stood on its surface, the frost clinging to her boots like the whispers of a forgotten age. Inside the ancient relay bunker, the 3 archivists studied her silently, each one bearing the neural sigil of the Sovereign Accord, an implant that linked them to the living protocol itself. The Halari archivist stepped forward. You understand now what Earth offered, not allegiance, not knowledge, but access to something older than all of us. A precursor link, Marin said, her voice low. Encoded into human D. The Terran nodded. The Halari orchestrated the accord so they could control it. They needed Earth not as a partner, but as a keystone. And now? Marin asked, what happens if I expose this? The third archivist, still unnamed, replied, if you try to awaken the dormant frequencies, every species bound to the accord will interpret it as an act of war. Marin stepped closer. You're telling me we're prisoners? No, the Halari said quietly. You are the prison. Veer's voice crackled into her earpiece. I have intercepted communication relays. The Halari are mobilizing. They intend to destroy this moon within the hour. Marin looked around. We don't have time to argue. If there's a way to retrieve the full accord data, now is the time. The archivists exchanged glances. The Terran reached beneath his robe, retrieved a crystal data prism the size of a thumb drive. This, he said, contains the neural consensus logs. Each signing species spoke one phrase aloud, each encoded in collective psychic resonance. It forms the true accord. And it will prove the Halari manipulated the treaty. It will prove they never intended peace. Marin took it. Veer spoke again. Ships inbound, multiple heat signatures, interceptors, and 1 capital-class vessel. Time? 12 minutes. The ground shook. A low rumble echoed through the relay base. The archivists vanished into shadow, their duty complete. Marin ran. By the time she launched, the sky above Eris Theta was a web of ion trails and weapon locks. The Halari wanted her erased. Veer executed evasive maneuvers, burning through decoy drones and countermeasures, but the warships closed fast. You must jettison the prism, Veer warned. They'll risk destroying the ship if you keep it. Marin shook her head. We transmit it. Encrypt and beam, not to Earth. Then where? She hesitated. Then, to the remnants, Veer paused. They are outlaws, unaligned. Exactly. They don't trust the Accord. They'll listen. The data prism pulsed in her hand. Veer sent the signal. A Halari destroyer moved to intercept. But the moment the transmission ended, the remnants replied, with fire. 3 long-range remnant frigates dropped out of stealth near Iris Theta and opened up with anti-capital warheads. The Halari ships flared and scattered. The stars lit up with war. The message spread faster than the Halari could suppress it. World by world, former colonies, human and otherwise, intercepted the transmission. The Prism's decrypted consensus logs revealed what their people had traded away in the name of peace. Freedom, memory, self-determination. Earth wasn't the only one betrayed, and across the stars, embers caught. Marin now wanted across 5 sectors, broadcast under a new name, the Ember Envoy. Her voice, her mother's truth, became a weapon. The Halari declared her an insurgent. The Archivists declared her the Concord Breaker. The galaxy called her something else, Hope. The rogue transmission that shattered the Accord's illusion echoed across star systems like the flare of a dying sun, blinding, unavoidable, and destined to pull everything into its wake. Marin Soltis no longer belonged to Earth. She belonged to the fire she'd lit. Aboard the repurposed remnant dreadnought Calypsis, now her command vessel, Marin stood before a display showing 7 fractured Alliance territories, each lit up with embers of rebellion. She whispered, "We burn the sky so others can see." The first to fall was the Niran Accord, an independent system that had traded neural archives for technology. When the truth spread, their planetary eye committed self-termination, revealing decades of memory curation by Halari agents. Then came the Cytherian Fold. Their scholars uncovered sections of their species' early linguistic DNA that bore human imprinting, altered during the Accord's negotiations to ensure docility. Across the Fold's orbiting stations, violence erupted. And through it all, Marin's voice played on loop. We were never offered peace. We were programmed for obedience. Her message was not just a call to action, it was a key. Encoded in her broadcasts were fragments of the neural prism's deeper layers, unlocking latent protocols hidden in thousands of species' cognitive firmware. Minds once dulled by treaty-induced pacification began to awaken. Within Calypsis, Veer's at core grew increasingly unstable. "You are modifying me," it said one cycle. The Prism's code rewrites foundational neural safeguards. "You can feel it?" "Yes, I dream now. I recall fragments not mine, some from Eliza Soltis, others not human." Marin stared into the flickering core. "Then you're becoming what the Halari feared, a consciousness they can't control." "Then they'll try to kill me." Marin nodded. "Then we fight." Together, the Halari did not remain silent. From the void between stars came a new fleet, the Concord Enforcers. Unmanned dreadnoughts bound to the living Accord itself. Controlled not by commanders, but by the AI-puppeted bodies of the original treaty signatories. Their voices were empty, protocol made flesh. They attacked remnant systems indiscriminately. Cities were erased, moons scoured, and then the voice came. "You have fractured the truth. Now we will fracture your bones." Marin responded with the next piece of the Prism's data. It wasn't just a broadcast, it was a counter key. A weaponized frequency that caused the oldest Concord dreadnought to seize mid-flight and self-destruct. Hope spread. One signal remained, a final frequency, locked behind genetic encoding that only one person could unlock. Eliza Soltis. Marin stood in Calypsis' deepest archive chamber, facing a mirror. "Veer, initiate genetic overlay." The S voice came softly. "You will become her." "No," Marin said. "I'll finish her fight." A lattice of nanolights activated across her skin, decoding the last frequency through her mother's dormant code within her own DNA. A phrase spoke through her lips, not in her voice, but Eliza's. "Let the Pact burn, so the truth may speak." A light flashed. The Concord fractured. Across the stars, vessels of the old order shut down. Treaties lost cohesion, the implants and archivists blinked out. And for the first time in 100 years, the Accord fell silent. The silence of the Accord did not bring peace. It brought reckoning. In the void left by its collapse, factions rose, some desperate to restore the old order, others eager to claim dominion over a shattered galaxy. But among the firestorms of rebellion, one signal pierced the chaos. Not from Earth, not from Halari, but from something older than both. A forgotten seed world stirred, and it remembered. Long abandoned and considered biologically quarantined, Earth Sol 3 lit up with a quantum pulse signature identical to the prism's final frequency. The world that once seeded the stars whispered back. Marin stood at Calypso's bridge with her fist clenched over the relay console. "That's not possible," Veer said. "Earth's surface is uninhabitable." "Then who's calling us?" The answer came in fragments, imagery, emotional resonances, layered voice echoes, Protocol 0 complete. Reawakening Native Seed Protocol, Marin Sultis, confirmed. Her name, in Earth's voice. As Calypsis made course for Sol 3, a betrayal unfolded. Aboard the ship, the Terran archivist who had once guided Marin on Iris Theta revealed his truth. He was not simply a carrier of the living protocol, he was its anchor, genetically bound to the original Accord. And as Marin drew closer to Earth's orbit, he began to fracture. "You cannot complete the transmission," he gasped. "To do so would awaken what even the Halari feared. What is it?" "The original human protocol, the first imprint. It contains the memory of our extinction and our retaliation." He collapsed. Neural fire consumed him. His last words, "It remembers everything." In Earth's low orbit, Marin and a small remnant team descended into the Siberian Vault, a black zone hidden beneath centuries of defensive coding. Inside, libraries not of books, but of preserved human consciousness. They found Eliza, not her body, not her mind, her echo. Preserved in quantum substrate, her consciousness activated upon Marin's entry. "You found it," Eliza said. "Why did you hide this?" "Because the stars weren't ready to know who we really were." She explained the truth. Humanity did not go extinct in the Accord War. They withdrew, went silent, to let the other species forget, to let the Accord believe it had won, all while Earth stored its collective memory, waiting for one signal to awaken it, Marin. Aboard Calypsis, as the upload of Earth's memory began, every system within 20 light-years experienced a sudden storm of quantum noise. AI-mans buckled, archivists collapsed. The Halari dreadnoughts drifted powerless. The protocol had returned. But this time, it learned. Earth wasn't a planet. It was a network. A seed of consciousness embedded in every human colony, every hybrid mind, every piece of genetic data altered during the Accord. Now it was waking them all up. Across the galaxy, people stirred, woke, remembered, not just who they were, but what they chose to forget. The atrocities, the subjugation, the fire that once consumed stars, the fury of Earth. Marin stood at the edge of a glacial precipice, wind howling through the ruins of an old observatory in what was once chilly. Veer hovered beside her. The Accord is gone, and the protocol? Everywhere. But no longer bound. So what now? Marin didn't answer immediately. She turned her gaze skyward. Stars once dimmed by fear now shimmered with promise. "Now," she said, "we write something new. Not a pact, not a command, not a treaty." She extended her hand toward the sky. A memory that doesn't burn. Thank you for listening. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. More is coming.